Okay, let's unpack this. You sent over this GameSpot article buzzing about a potential release date for uh, the new Mafia game, Mafia, the old country.
Yeah, looks like you're keen to get the lowdown on this one.
Definitely. So our mission here, I guess, is to dive into what the article actually tells us, sort of separate the solid facts from maybe just, likely scenarios.
And highlight the really interesting bits. See why it's worth keeping an eye on.
Exactly.
Well, the core of it seems to be this almost accidental reveal, right? It wasn't like a big planned announcement.
No, exactly. That's what jumped out. Publisher 2K and the developer, Hangar 13, they apparently put up a Steam blog post about PAX East 2025 plans.
Okay.
And tucked away in there was this mention of a release date for Mafia, the old country.
Ah, like a detail that slipped through the cracks a bit early.
Pretty much, like seeing a stagehand wander on set before the show starts.
You see that sometimes, though. Information control is tricky, especially with like draft posts and things. Makes you wonder if it changes how hype builds, you know? Less control, maybe more organic buzz.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's where it gets, really interesting. This date definitely wasn't supposed to be public yet.
Right.
The article makes a point that Jamatsu, the gaming news site, they spotted it.
Ah, the sharp eyes over there.
Yeah. And crucially, they grabbed a screenshot before it got scrubbed, is the word they used, before it got pulled from the post.
Wow. Okay, so they caught it red-handed, basically. That screenshot is the key piece of evidence, then.
It really is. It gives us that first tangible bit of info.
Yeah.
And the way it came out just adds a layer of, intrigue.
Absolutely. And good on Jamatsu, right, for being quick on the draw.
Yeah.
Shows a level of interest in anything Mafia, too.
No kidding. Okay, so according to the article and that screenshot, the leak date for Mafia, the old country, is August 8th.
August 8th. Okay.
And platforms listed are PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series XS.
Right. The standard lineup for a big new release these days. Makes sense. Focus on the current gen hardware.
Yeah. So if you're gaming on any of those, this is, even as a leak, it's directly relevant news. Might affect your summer gaming schedule.
Definitely. Targeting those platforms lets them, push the visuals, the complexity. Should mean a better experience, hopefully.
The article strongly suggests the official announcement, the proper reveal of this date, is probably happening at PX East 2025.
Okay, that makes sense. A big event presence.
They even give the date and time for the panel. May 8th, it's 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Right, May 8th. Good to know. So people can tune in or follow the news feeds then for the official word.
Exactly. Mark the calendar if you're interested.
That timing fits too. Announce a few months out, build the hype, open pre-orders. PX East is a good spot for that. Direct line to the fans.
And it sounds like the panel won't just be the date. They're talking about a brand new gameplay trailer.
Okay. Now we're talking.
Yeah, and appearances from some key people. Studio president Nick Baines, game director Alex Cox, cinematic director Thomas Rebicek.
Bringing out the big guns. That shows they're serious about this launch.
So, yeah, more than just a date. We should get a much better feel for the game itself, hopefully see what it actually, looks like to play.
That gameplay trailer will be key. Seeing it in action, what makes this Mafia game different? That's what people will want to know. And hearing the vision from the directors, that adds weight.
Okay, so potential date, August 8th. Official reveal likely, May 8th at PAX East. Now, let's dig into the game itself based on what the article says.
Right.
Mafia, the old country, is a prequel to the very first Mafia game.
A prequel. Okay, that's interesting. Takes us further back.
Yeah. Instantly makes you wonder, right? Storylines, characters, what were things like before the events we already know?
Opens up a lot of possibilities. You could see maybe the origins of the families, the conditions in Sicily back then, early 20th century, could connect directly to the original game's backstory.
That's what I was thinking, how it all started.
It's a chance to really enrich the lore, tell a fresh story within that familiar world.
And the setting, another really interesting piece. Early 1900s, Sicily, like you said, specifically a fictional town called San Celeste.
San Celeste, yeah, that sounds familiar.
It should. The article points out it was actually in Mafia 2 and mentioned in Mafia, Definitive Edition.
Ah, right, so they're tying it back in. That's smart. Creates that series continuity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For longtime fans, seeing that town again, but earlier in time, that could be really cool. Familiar ground, maybe see origins of places.
Definitely. Fans will appreciate that. Looking for those little connections, those Easter eggs, it rewards playing the whole series. Makes the world feel more, real.
Totally. Okay, and finally, The article mentions the audio.
Oh, yeah.
Full audio, dubbing in multiple languages, the usual suspects,
Right.
English, French, German, Spanish, Czech, Russian.
Standard for a major release. Accessibility.
But here's the thing that stands out. They're including a dedicated Sicilian audio track.
Sicilian, not just standard Italian.
Nope, Sicilian. Specifically for cultural authenticity, the article says.
Wow. Okay, that's a serious commitment to detail.
Isn't it? Suggests they really want to nail the atmosphere, the setting, make it feel properly immersive and believable.
That's actually quite remarkable. Using the specific dialect adds a layer of realism you wouldn't get otherwise. It shows real dedication to the cultural setting. Players who care about that historical accuracy will likely love that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how it'll impact the feel of the game, the storytelling even.
It really does. It's more than just background flavor.
Okay, so bringing it all together then, this deep dive based on the GameSpot piece, it gives us a pretty strong hint maybe of a release date, August 8th.
Right, August 8th. But we got to remember, it's still technically a leak until confirmed.
Definitely. Keep an eye on May 8th, that PAXE's panel, for the official word.
And we've learned it's a prequel,
Yeah.
set way back in early 1900s Sicily, returning to San Celeste, which is a nice touch.
And that focus on authenticity with the Sicilian audio track,
Yeah.
it really signals they're aiming for deep immersion.
Yeah, that detail speaks volumes.
So for you, someone interested in this stuff, this whole situation really highlights how news can break, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes not through official channels.
For sure. And now you've got this potential date and info ahead of the curve. You know when and where to look for the real confirmation.
Puts you a step ahead.
Absolutely. And thinking about it, this prequel setting back in San Celeste, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, what connections will we see to the later games, to the original Mafia story? What kind of groundwork are they laying? What's the origin story they want to tell?
Ah, I see. What threads are they planting that will eventually grow into the stories we know?
Exactly. That's the big question to chew on, I think. How does this new chapter fit into the whole Mafia saga? Something to think about while we wait for that May reveal.